We'll see. Check out this pure Hasbara propaganda from an Iranian woman. People eating this up.
Iranian woman.
Oh, hell yeah. This is my... Dude. My people yearn for freedom. President Biden, please glass Iran. My people yearn for freedom is my favorite take.
Hi. Iranian woman here. It's become very apparent that you haven't been listening to anything that we've had to say for the past 2 years. But I was wondering if you could just lend me a few minutes of your time in this ungodly hour to hear us now.
What are people saying? I understand the frustration, but Westerners not speaking up on domestic Iranian issues, but taking note on issues their wider international impact is largely due to exposure is in the news. I mean, I'm Nigerian, and I remember when the world took note when the Chibok girls were kidnapped, but I doubt people now would be aware that it's happened dozens of times since then. Recently, hundreds of children were abducted from primary schools.
Watch over the past 24 hours people clambering onto the internet to exclaim that Iran has the right to defend itself. In what capacity have you distorted the story to make the Islamic Republic the victim?
Bro, I love diaspora Iranians, bro. Persians. It's just like, it's funny because they don't understand that, like, no one views you like that. Okay? It's the I'm not black, I'm Dominican version of menopolitics in some respects. It's like nobody thinks that, okay? No racist person ever makes that distinction, dumbass. Like, no one is going, yeah, you know what? Actually, you're right. We should be separating the Islamic mullah regime from the Iranian people. Like, when bombs start flying, they don't give a fuck, okay? The bombs don't discriminately target not your fucking family members that still live there, if there are any, okay, that still live in Iran, okay? And avoid your family members and only fucking kill the bad guys. That's not how this works. Sanctions don't target just the oppressive mullahs. As a matter of fact, they harden the position of the reactionary elements in the country. Okay? It doesn't work that way. You should probably learn your own history, specifically because that is how Iran got to the theocratic position that it got to from the jump. That's how Iran became what it is now.
That's I think what we're most curious about. When we were screaming for the past 2 years that they were lynching us, where were you? When we were screaming that they were killing Iranian women for not wearing a hijab, where were you? When they were lynching Iranian men from cranes for protesting, where were you? When we were explaining that this is a terrorist occupying force.
Bro, you literally live in England. Like, oh my God.
Where were you? But all of a sudden, everyone's graduated from Instagram School of Law to say that this is a violation of international law and Iran has the right to defend itself. First of all, you're not talking about Iran, you're talking about the Islamic Republic. What the Islamic Republic does is not a reflection of the Iranian people. We've been clear about what we want, which is peace. Second of all, you may have discovered the Middle East yesterday, but the Middle East didn't start existing yesterday. If you want to talk about an act of war, just a few days ago, a federal court determined that the attacks on Israeli embassies and Jewish centers in Argentina were conducted by the Islamic Republic and Hezbollah. That was in the 90s. That was in the 90s. Was that an act of war? How about the terror proxies that the Islamic Republic has created to foster regional instability? What did you think that they were there for? What did you think Hezbollah was there for? Hamas, Houthis, the militia groups in Iraq and Syria? Did you think that they were there to instigate a system of...
How much do you think this person earns doing this? $0.00, bro. This is like, listen, I hear this all the time, okay? I live in Los Angeles. So let me tell you something. I live in LA. I hear this a lot for free, okay? I hear this regularly with regular frequency for free. It's free 99, baby. This is classic, this is classic diaspora politics. It's like asking a Cuban living in Miami over the age of like 35 what they think about Castro or socialism. Their take is going to be, you know, bomb Cuba and let God sort it out.
of public schooling, education, to feed the poor, house the unhoused. What did you think that they were there for? Is that an act of war? Was October 7th an act of war? Are the rockets that Hezbollah fires into northern Israel on a near daily basis an act of war? And so when these senior IRGC commanders meet up with Hezbollah in an IRGC military base, okay, not an Iranian embassy, and Israel strikes, your response is to say that that is an act of war. If you had listened to us for the past 2 years...
When are you covering non-TikTok news? Never. This is a TikTok only broadcast, chatter. My calculus teacher was Persian. She was a lib, but not a big fan of Iran. You don't have to, like, listen. I think you guys know this by now, am not a big fan of the domestic policies of the Islamic Republic, okay, of the current Iranian administration. After all, I am an advocate for queer rights, women's bodily autonomy, that sort of thing, right? And so obviously theocracies are not exactly something that I am a fan of, okay? Something that I am in favor of. Having said that, however, this has nothing to do with that. Like, this conversation between Iran and Israel has nothing to do with that. It's not being done on the basis of, like, the Iranian theocracy. It's not being done for that reason. Okay? Where were you? I mean, I've criticized the Iranian administration quite a bit. It is ridiculous to expect that a belligerent state in the region can keep striking with increasing intensity at other targets while in the midst of doing an ongoing ethnic cleansing campaign and expect no retaliation from regional actors, especially when said belligerent apartheid regime has demonstrated time and time again that they only respond to force, that they only back down when they are met with even force. This is entirely in the hands of Israel. Israel does not want to do democracy or diplomacy with any of the regional actors that it has declared a foreign adversary. Okay? You're talking like Iran has not fucked with Israel before the embassy attack. It is ridiculous to act like Israel's embassy attack is valid. It's not. It is not a valid attack. It is not valid under international law, and it is not even a strategically valuable target. It is greatly expanding the conflict for Israel. It's making it harder for them. The only reason why you would do that is if you are a despotic fascist who is very horny to stay in power in his war cabinet, even though he is deeply unpopular, and trying to expand on the conflict as best as possible so he continues remaining in power and he doesn't get fucking fired and then go to jail for his ongoing corruption court case. That's it. Your hands are already tied. If you're Israel, if you're the war cabinet, you're already too busy trying to do an ethnic cleansing campaign in Gaza. Why the fuck would you go and then directly strike Iranian soil? Why the fuck would you go and directly strike Iranian soil to invoke some kind of retaliation or response from them with hopes that you will bring America into the fold and make and broaden the conflict to a degree that makes it even less safe for the Israeli citizens, to a degree where the obvious regional actor is going to retaliate? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Just FYI, Elika Laban, loves to clip things out of context to her 400K IG following. She would likely do this with this segment. I mean, what? Okay, who cares?
Much less the past 45 years. You'd know that Iranians don't want war with Israel. We want peace with Israel. Iranian people inside of Iran have come out and said this over and over and over again. It's you that wants war with Israel. It's your hatred for Israel and your hatred for Jews that's pulling us into a war that we didn't ask for. Have we not suffered enough for the past 45 years that we now have to be used as pawns for your fantasies about war with Israel? Leave us alone. We don't want that. So if you want to support the Islamic Republic in putting Iranians' lives at risk and everyone's lives at risk, they just killed a 10-year-old Bedouin boy for this. Is that what you wanted?
It was a girl, I think. Oh, you're British for fuck's sake? I think she's in America. It says Elika in America. Perhaps if the Iranian people are upset, they should stand up against the regime. That's crazy. Bro, that's an insane expectation. You have no idea what it's like to live in Iran and try to push back against your authoritarian government while your authoritarian government is able to position themselves as a defender against Western imperialism. Okay? Israel's relentless actions, Israel's genocide, is a gift to the mullahs. If you want to think about it from that perspective, the entire reason why the Iranian theocracy exists is because of American intervention. Doing more of the same reasons why they got into power is a ridiculous way to try and solve the problem. What's the solution? Diplomacy. That's it. It's also really funny to just sit at the comfort of your home and be like, why aren't they fighting hard enough against their government? I don't know. Maybe because it makes it, maybe because it hardens their position, especially in the broader Iranian public's eyes, that they are true defenders against Western imperialism. Because they are. The Iranian resistance does phenomenal propaganda for the Iranian regime in general. If you have an issue with that, you should try to solve the conflict from the area that you can, which is our allies, not by hardening their position further, by increasing sanctions, by creating economic instability and volatility that ends up harming Iranian people. They fight back all the time. They protest all the fucking time. It's so silly to be like, yeah, I live in America. Why don't you fight back against your government? You live in America. You don't even have fucking health care. You know? Think about it like that. Do you really think that an all-out war will happen between Iraq and Iran? I live in Iraq. I'm Kurdish. I'm really scared if it does happen in Iraq, we'll get involved and get fucked. A missile already hit Iraq and Holler at a mountain of Kurik in our capital city in Baghdad. I've asked this multiple times. Sorry. But I really want to know your opinion. I don't know. Many anti-IRI people in Iran here correctly don't like the Israeli apartheid and see it as such. Exactly. People said this about the Houthis too. They were like, the Ansar Allah, the Houthis are bad guys. The Houthis are bad guys. It's like, okay, Well, now they're not seen as such. Do you want to know why? Do you know how you can very easily and very quickly position yourself as like the good guys when there's a much larger evil happening in the fucking region not that far away from you, and you stand against that? That's it. That's it. Mr. Beast commented on our TikTok saying real, by the way. Yeah, I saw Mr. Beast commenting on the Philip DeFranco TikTok with a reel too. It's getting real political. Iranian here, you have to realize how much the diaspora and the vast majority of people in Iran resent the regime. This girl is brain dead, but there's a lot of cognitive dissonance when shit like this happens because the resentment is so set in. You just flail wildly with takes like this. Yeah. Mr. Beast is Persian confirmed. Yes, I am Persian, not Iranian. I do not like the Iranian government. It's the same principle behind Hamas and any kind of Palestinian resistance, okay? There would be no need for them to exist if Israel was not conducting a genocide, if Israel was not an apartheid state. You know what I mean? In order to end any kind of resistance against your unjustifiable and oppressive structures, you have to end the apartheid first, and then deal with the fallout as though they are full-blown citizens. That's it.